to the Inuvik settlement area, home to the Inuvik, which in other Indigenous people from throughout Canada, other people from throughout Canada and the world, and all of this makes Inuvik a great place to live.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Item number 2, the adoption of the agenda by council. Moved by Councillor Gillis, seconded by Councillor Lemieux. Any further discussion on the agenda? All those in favor? Motion carried. We do have Councillor McDonald online. Declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest with the public hearing. Seeing none. Item number 4, hearing request for council decision 2026-051 bylaw amendment road naming bylaw 2730/GEN/23. So we have received some presentations in favor, and we will have SAO Cindy just review what we have received already, and then there'll be the opportunity for verbal presentations. So initially, we're dealing with presentations in favor of the amendment to the road naming bylaw.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a summary of the public feedback, the written feedback that we received. And we received 14 submissions in writing, of which 5 were late submissions, so they weren't included in the original summary. We just didn't have time by the time we got them in today. So the first road I'm going to talk about in favor is Bompus Road, proposing Bompus Road, the upper Bompus Road, renaming it to Ptarmigan Way. We had 8 individuals reply in support, and 5 gave no preferences. The individual what was listed in terms of a couple of the options or comments that were presented was considering a Gwich'in name instead of Ptarmigan Way. Another comment was concerns about the inconvenience of having to change an established address and considering changing Stringer Road to Ptarmigan Way as well, which would create one continuous roadway and allow for more consistent civic numbering. 2 respondents specifically suggested that Stringer Road also be included in the name change. If you'd like me to read out any of the other supporting comments, then I will, other than this brief summary, or we can go on to the next one, which was Carmichael.
Any further details required by council on the Ptarmigan Way in favor? Councillor Gillis.
If we include Stringer, does that change this process?
We would have to delay it by another 30 days because we have to give notification for the people who live on Stringer Road, the ones that are affected in terms of their addressing. So we would have to go through the same process, put ads in the newspaper, bulletin board, and have another public hearing, the first set of council meetings in September.
Thank you.
The impact is it's not urgent to change these names. So if you did choose to include Stringer and have that public consultation, it doesn't affect us operationally.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lemieux.
I actually looking at it, it actually kind of makes sense to go all the way around. And maybe we should go through that process and get feedback from the people that are there, see what their thoughts are. In just my opinion, just looking at the map anyway.
You're done?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Parr.
I think administratively, wouldn't we have to either amend the first reading or go back to the first reading and incorporate Stringer?
Yes.
Yeah, would be a new process again, to start over on that one. Okay, because we're gonna go now to verbal, but any further questions from council on Ptarmigan Way? Okay. And now looking at the public, we've got a number of people in the galley, so is there anyone from the public who would like to speak either in support? Or yeah, I guess we're still on in support at this time, in support, in favor of the potential changes on Carmichael Way.
Ptarmigan Way.
Sorry, Ptarmigan Way.
I'd just like to include Stringer
Yeah,
as well.
because it's being recorded,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Kevin, you just have to come down to the microphone.
Welcome to council.
Yeah. And just so everyone also knows, because you may not know, we're live, but it's being YouTube, so if anyone has called in, plus the people online also, then get to hear.
Yeah, I'd like to include the Stringer as well.
Okay. So you're speaking in favor of the change, but would also like to include Stringer.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Jeff.
Any further comments in favor of the name change? Going to Ptarmigan Way? Okay,
Okay, so the next street renaming,
we haven't gone to,
you wanna do the
yeah,
whole thing? Okay,
well, to the opposed, so. Are there any verbal presentations opposed to naming, or renaming, Bumpus and Stringer Ptarmigan Way? Seeing none at this time,
okay, so we have, one do not support in writing. And, again, that is the, concern with regard to the inconvenience of having to change the established address.
okay,
Okay,
so next we'll go to Carmichael Drive, the proposed civic address is changing. And we'll just allow Cindy to give us an update on what we've heard so far.
so we had 14 submissions in total. 5 were in support. 8 were do not support, and 1 had no preference. The primary reason why the individuals, sorry, I'm just talking about support right now, not the do not support. It's complicated, too many streets and too many supports there, so 5 were in support. And the written submissions for in support were, primarily the emergency response and the navigation would make it easier to not have to figure out which one is east and which one is west. And that is the only written in support.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we look at for renaming Carmichael Drive, are there any verbal submissions in favor in the audience for the renaming of that? Seeing none, let's go to presentations opposed, written submissions.
So the written submissions, again, your summary would include all of those with the exception of the ones today that were late submissions. The primary reason why is the numbering. And the reason why is most of the people on the Carmichael East already have established homes and established residents. And the inconvenience of updating identification information and having to change that. A point of clarification here is that the legal addressing will remain the same, meaning the lot, block, plan number will remain the same. It's the civic addressing that would change. And that is where their concern is coming from. And of the submissions, 3 said to keep it east and west, and most of them were primarily to keep the numbering starting from the east rather than starting from the west.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, comments, or need for clarification from council? Councilor Lemieux?
Yeah, I'm like, from my perspective, taking a look at it, for everybody that lives there, I think the best way to resolve this, in my opinion, would be Jeanette's place is 30 Carmichael West. Okay, Lenny's is 25 Carmichael East. If we put proper signage on the west and east side of the entrance off of Inuvik, clearly indicating east and west, then put one signpost on the property line between 30 west, 25 east, that just says Carmichael East and Carmichael West. No one has to do anything, and we just gotta put in one signpost. So everybody in town knows Carmichael East and West.
Yeah.
People have had established addresses there for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And I think putting that, like, realistically, only newbies coming to town are gonna be the ones that are gonna be affected. But I think if it's clearly marked, emergency response, RCMP, everybody, it's pretty easy to figure that out.
Yeah.
Those roads have been established since I was a kid. So to go through this and put the residents of Co-op,
So when we get to the bylaw 9.1, that'll be the place to present that.
okay, well,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is.
Yeah.
These guys have a valid point.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Okay, so now we are moving to presentations of proposed written submissions for Carmichael.
I did the written submissions, the verbal
You need to
submissions.
Oh, on the report,
If
okay.
anybody's.
So now, we have the opportunity for members in the audience. If anyone is opposed to changing the naming and numbering on Carmichael, Peggy?
Which button do I get to press? Okay. Peggy, I am opposed to the numbering of Carmichael. I'd like it to remain east and west. Yes, there's the inconvenience of changing. There's also a cost involved. Everyone has to buy new numbers and everything else too. But there's also a historical prospect as well too. You know, when Co-op Hill was built, a lot of those older houses built in 1968, 69 were the ones up front there. And so way back in the back there, that's where I snare rabbits. That's where I pick cranberries. So it's kind of nice to have this distinction. And later on, we may not be able to explain to people that this division came, you know, by steps, not just came all at once. And there's some pride and some history to our division.
Thank you.
thank you, Peter.
Any further verbal submissions opposed to changing the Carmichael east-west naming? Jim McDonald, the microphone is yours.
Is. Okay. And I'm gonna sit down.
Have a chair.
This, from this end, it's a better perspective.
We could always trade.
I'm opposed as well, for several reasons. I've lived on Carmichael West for 36 years. I've never seen anyone confused. I think the town could do a lot more with their signage. I think the street signs and stuff needs some work. You know, there's a lot of them missing, poor condition, right? And I think if the street signs are well laid out and they indicate the streets clearly, there's no really confusion, shouldn't be, for emergency services in the community. And Yeah, it's just, I think it's an unnecessary convenience and it's worked well for all of the years I've lived on that street and I don't see any reason it should be changed. So,
Okay, thank you, Jim. Appreciate the comments. Any further public, comment, on the verbal, submission for opposed to name change on Carmichael East and West? Come on up.
Jared. Yeah, I'm opposed to it. I think that it's also a little bit unnecessary for changing the numbers. I think that, let's see. The bylaw was, wanting to change the numbers for the crescent. I think part of it was the inside of a crescent was odd. And then the outside of the numbers were even. But it had to do with, east and west, and I think that west was supposed to be odd. So it's like, which one takes precedence, I guess, so. I guess that's just a little bit of a clarification. But yeah, I'm opposed to it as well, for the reasons of the numbering and stuff.
All right, thanks, Garrett. Thanks for coming in and expressing your opinion. Any further members of the public, wanting to have a verbal presentation of being opposed to the Carmichael name changes? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna go back to Cindy. Any further points of clarification or comments?
So no, other than already mentioned, on Wednesday to reply to, Councillor Parrott, if you, after deliberation, wish to change that bylaw, then it would have to be deferred. And if you do want to pursue adding Stringer to that Bombas, it would again have to take another 30 days public consultation. Operationally, no impact if we delay it to ensure that we are doing it right.
Okay, and just for everyone's clarification, so this has been a public hearing on the name change, and then council will debate that in item 9.1 under bylaws. Okay, now we just need move to adjourn the public hearing. Moved by Councilor Lemieux, seconded by Councilor Parrott. All in favor? Okay. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Feel free to stay for the rest of this exciting council meeting.
Yes.
All right, welcome everyone to the Town of Inuvik Committee of the Whole council meeting this evening. I'd just like to call the meeting to order at 7:18. And I'd just like to again acknowledge that the Town of Inuvik is within the Gwich'in settlement area, adjacent to the Inuvialu settlement area, home to the Gwich'in, the Inuvialu, other Indigenous people from throughout Canada, and also other people from throughout Canada and the world, and all of this makes Inuvik a great place to live. Item number 2, on Wednesday, we will do the adoption of the agenda. Item number 3, declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest with any of the agenda items. Seeing none. Item number 4, delegations, presentations, or petitions. We've got the RCMP report in the package, and we won't be getting a presentation on that. Staff Sergeant Why Not is out of town, but the report is in your package for information. Item number 5, public question period is on Wednesday, right?
It's today, but there's no public here. Nick is here to speak about 8.
Yeah, Nick is here, but he's here for a different agenda item. Okay, we don't have anyone here. Item number 5, the adoption, item number 6, the adoption of the minutes for the July 6th and 8th council meeting. Any errors, omissions, anything, any changes needed in the minutes? Seeing none, any updates on any of the action items, Cindy?
So again, we're still waiting for the community plan and zoning bylaw. We were told in August, it's August now, so we should be expecting a response from MACA soon. That covers all the first three items. And I will let Director DeComu reply back to regarding the potholes, garbage bins, bear awareness signs, watering plants, and blue bins. In terms of where their status is, I know that they are in progress and I know some are complete.
Yeah, so all the potholes we are aware of have been filled. I'm sure there's probably one or two out there that we don't just know about, but if there is one, we would like to know about it so we can get it done. But the particular ones that were mentioned during that meeting, I think with Mackenzie Road and stuff like those have been done. I was using
Oh,
this.
sorry.
Garbage bin. So yes, they used the graffiti remover to get some of that off, but they couldn't get it all. Some of the stains on there were just too difficult to get off. So we're looking at potentially getting paints from the manufacturer. They come in spray cans, so and they'll just use that to spray over some of those graffiti on there. The watering of the plants that has been going on daily. We've had one of the summer students on that as his daily morning routine, so he gets that done. And then what's that last thing?
The bear awareness signs.
Oh yes, they have installed about 3 at the Wood Lake area there. We'll probably need about 3 or 4 more, but we're out of signs now. We'll have to order more signs if we still want more out there, but as of Monday, they installed 2 or 3 out there at Pubic. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Any questions from council on any of those action items? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to new business, request for council decision, amendment of the lottery license for mega bingos. Do you want to give an overview of this?
So at the request of the Inuvik Curling Club, they want to run their annual $100,000 bingo. This isn't the first time that they've requested it. Previously in the past, at the inquiry of Councillor Parrott, Jenna has found that we have given permission for that in previous years. So this is not out of the ordinary. This is, well, it's out of the ordinary, but it is not something that we haven't done before.
Okay. Questions, comments from council on the increase? We also have Nick here from the curling club to answer any questions. If there's any specific questions that would be more appropriate for the curling club to answer. Deputy Mayor McDonald, any questions?
No questions for me, thank you.
Okay, just checking because we don't see you, so just checking there.
I don't have any questions either, Peter. I'm on the phone. It's Alana.
Okay, there you are. Yeah, thanks, Councilor Merrill. And we do have Nick would like to just address this issue. Go ahead, Nick.
I want to make a few comments. This is the 3rd year that we'll be running it. We've run it the past 2 Septembers. The feedback I've gotten from the community, from the business owners, is that it brings a lot of people in the community for that one day, or some people stay the night, I guess, and leave the next day. So that's been well received. In regards to the funds have been used for 3 things. All of our fundraising for the curling club is divided in 3. Youth curling, we send about 30 to 40 kids to Yellowknife every February. This funding helps with that. The funding is also used for renovations. If anybody's been in the curling club over the last year, we've done major renovations. We've also done some renovations this summer in regards to some wall cabinets. And the 3rd part of the funding is for general operations if required to run the curling club. So that's what the money is used for.
Great, thanks, Nick. Thanks for that update. any further questions, comments from council? Okay, we'll make a decision on this on Wednesday. 8.2, request for council decision on donations. Yep, on donations. This is pretty straightforward. It's just the warming shelter wanting to get the portable barbecue. Questions, comments from council? Okay. 8.3, request for council decision. This is the greenhouse structure on 14 Pubic Mallet, and we also have our development officer online, so Peter can also answer any questions. I think he's laid it out quite nicely, the various options on this. Questions, comments from council? Councilor Lemieux.
Yeah, I took a look at it. I think that option one is probably the most feasible one to go with. I think Peter recommended that one as well. Looking at it, I don't see any need to really push it any further than that. I mean, he's been pretty workable here recently. I think working with that would be the right move in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Lemieux.
Comment?
Yep.
If you drive by the property now, he has actually already modified his greenhouse and the structure to option one. So he's already taken those steps to be in compliance, at least with option one.
Perfect.
Any further comments from council? Peter, any further comments or clarification from your point of view?
I stick by the recommendation. I believe Hannah would agree as well. I won't repeat things that are said in the report, but I think it is would be the best for the community to go with option one. What is not stated in the report, and just to be 100% clear with council, is that there is an unstated option three, which would move the greenhouse right back to, would basically remove the walkway completely, remove 3 sets of poles, and that would move the greenhouse right back to the house, which would still require a 40-centimeter variance to fit on the lot. But that is a 10%, which can be issued by the development officer, so it's not listed in the report. I do believe option one is the best, but I just wanted to be 100% transparent with council.
Peter, any further questions, comments? Councilor Pear. Councilor Lemieux, your mic's on.
Just a question for you, Peter. How common would be a variance of 3.5 meters in a residential area like this? Has a variance like this ever been granted within the zoning category?
Are you asking across on a continental scale or in the terms of Inuvik?
No, I mean within the town boundary. I'm wondering if this, to me, yes, I see significant change. I think we're moving in the right direction here, but it still seems quite odd that that amount of space is a variance within this particular zoning category.
There's a lot of examples in Inuvik of sheds or even houses that are sitting well within variance lines, or actually crossing outside of their actual lots. And that's not unusual in the north. I've worked in about 12 for about 12 communities in my years across the north, and I've seen quite a I basically had to redesign the entire cadastral layer of Telelulek in Kitikmeot, because the houses were nowhere near the lots that were assigned to them. So I think in the case of Inuvik, I can't provide a recent precedent, but there is a lot structurally in the built form that the intent is over the decades that gradually, as buildings reach the end of the life cycle, that relocations and rebuildings will occur and will come up to where we're at now. But in this particular street, because of the width of the right-of-way and the fact that for the road, and also the right-of-way for the power line and the 4-meter setback, it is my professional opinion as a registered planner that the greenhouse adds welcome complexity to the neighborhood. And I would go, in these sorts of cases, I wouldn't go on precedent. Variances are meant to be on a one-by-one basis. So I focus your decision on the facts of the case.
Thank you, Peter. Any further questions, comments from council? Okay,
Hi,
H.
it's
Oh,
Alana
sorry,
here,
Alana.
Peter. Sorry, can I ask how long the greenhouse has been there? Because it seems to me it's been there for quite a few years.
I'm not able to answer that question, but concerns and complaints were raised several months ago, and in the enforcement of municipal land use bylaws and zoning bylaws, generally the legal precedent across Canada and the United States is to be reactive rather than proactive and permissive rather than strict, as within reason. So it's a greenhouse. It's if so, I don't know how long it's been. I don't know how long it's been there, but it was brought forward to the attention of myself and Hannah a few months ago.
So, but it was brought forward because of the other complaints. Because my point is, we've allowed it to be there for quite a few years. So I think we need to be careful that at this point now we don't overreact. So I also support option 1.
Okay, any further comments
all
from
I have.
council? Thank you. All right, moving on to 8.4, request for council decisions. This is on the Tesla supercharging license agreement out at the Northern Lights welcome sign. Any questions, comments on that?
Yeah, it's Alana again, Peter. What is the reason they want it way out there?
It was a matter of finding a public space where they could have it, where people could park. So I think it came down to that may have been one of the few options, I guess it was. Daniel's going to explain the process and how we got there.
Yeah, so when they came to us, they didn't have any location in mind. It was more of them reaching out to the town and asking where those options could be, and that particular location was actually our suggestion. And I think in the document you have in front of you, we did write it there saying it's open to any other location that we might that council might think is probably more desirable. So that was just our suggestion during that meeting we had with them, and then they put that in the contribution agreement, but that can change.
Okay. Because my question is not, that area is a little bit isolated. Nobody's going to have their eyes on it. And is that not more prone to possible vandalism versus being in town?
Potentially. There were a lot of reasons. One of the other reasons we thought about putting it somewhere out there was it's not close to any of our properties in case there's a fire with any of the electrical vehicles, and then the town will run away and then the building catches on fire, right? So that was one of the reasons we were also thinking somewhere where it's not close to a property or one of our buildings where we're that concerned in terms of emergency response, but then they also wanted it on town property. But just like you rightly said, something I did think about when we're putting this RFG together was snow clearing. We don't clear the site where the sign is right now. We don't touch that at all during the winter. But if this is out there, then it potentially calls for having that parking lot cleared in case the odd electric vehicle drives up the Dempster. So yeah, so that crossed my mind while I was doing this, and in my head I was thinking we might want to reconsider another location. For instance, where we have the trailers parked at the MSC was something that crossed my mind. Right in front on the right-hand side. It's far away enough from the MSC that if there were to be an emergency in terms of fire, before it gets to the building, I'll hope to be burnt out completely. But yes, but they're open to other options. There were different things that were discussed during that conversation. But yes, I guess we just come to council to see if council is actually in support of us continuing this conversation with Tesla. And then we'll take it from there and make final decisions that will come back again for review, I guess.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Councilor Lemieux.
I don't know, I think putting it out there is, I don't think is the best idea. Let's say, for example, you do have guys that come in, if it's 2 to 4, you're pretty cramped in there. First of all, you're well out of town. I think the arena area, like across from the MSC, would probably be better. You're within walking distance of downtown. You can plug in. Those roads are plowed already anyway, and to have the stations there, 90% of the time, there won't be a fucking person there anyway. Right? So I mean, the odd time that it comes in, at least it's in town, it's right by the rink, it's right by downtown. To me, that makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Thank you, Councilor Lemieux. Any further comments? Councilor Gillis, and then Councilor.
Yeah, when I get sick.
So I was just curious about our parking lot out here, like the other side of it, could we put them there? Like, I know it's not our property, but like, I wouldn't want to take away from town parking because there's only so much there and there, but on the other side, I've never seen anything there other than a big snow pile of ours, I'm pretty sure, or of the schools. So that might be an option, just to not take away from our parking, but it's still right there in front of our town hall.
Yeah, I guess the comment to that will be if it's not our property, then that'll be, we'll have to consult with the NJWC, right? So, well, I'm not, I mean, we'll have, but yeah, I don't think it is. On the other side, it's not our property, that's for sure.
Councilor Wayman.
Whatever happened to the first proposal, the charging station by the MSRC? There was one a few years back, and whatever happened to that was it.
Well, that proposal, which wasn't necessarily Tesla.
But it's still a charging center, it still does the same
Yeah.
thing.
That one fell off the table when Mr. Sullivan was no longer working for NewTab Energy. So in fact,
It seems to be a good area because the whole idea for the first presentation was Teslas aren't gonna come up in the middle of winter, very rarely. Secondly was, a lot of tourists come up during the art shows and the baseball games, and they could charge their cars and go to the art shows and go to the downtown tents and the farmers market, that kind of idea.
Yeah, I think it's a better place.
I don't know who would wanna go hang out at the sign and stare at the sign. So.
Well, yeah.
They can go next door to the catch.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay.
If I can, Peter.
Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, I'm wondering, in the package, it shows that Tesla's looking after all the costs, the install, some rental. But what we haven't considered is the electrical usage. Doesn't matter on what location we put it. How do they intend on paying for the electricity? Are they, I mean, are we going to meter them independently, or, this is something that I don't think was looked at. And maybe Daniel, you have something on that.
No, but they did say they were covering the cost of engineering, installation and all that, but yeah, I actually didn't think about that during that conversation, but yes, that's something we'll probably go back to her with and ask her what their plan is, in terms of covering the cost for the actual child.
Yeah, I actually thought that was part of it, they were actually covering that.
Yeah, the company would have to do that because they would be the ones setting up the account, and they would be metered and they would be charged, and whether they're charging the other Teslas, but
well, I mean, what would happen though is because at both locations we've just discussed, we're looking at town utility costs, basically town services. So either there would have to be a sub-meter put in, or they would have to have their own service put in. It's just something that Daniel's going to have to talk to them about as well. And on that note, I agree with most of the other councillors that in town at the rec center somewhere would be a better location for the charging stations.
okay, Daniel, maybe between now and Wednesday, I think we've heard that council would prefer it looks like the MSC site, but if you could just clarify with Tesla, that they would be covering all the charges and having their own service put in, and that would be metered. And then we can, if we can get those amendments made, and then we can bring that back to council on Wednesday.
That's good.
Okay, thanks, everyone. 8.5 is the 2025 audited financial statements. So this is just coming to council so that council has the opportunity to actually look at the audited financial statements. And I felt seeing council approves the annual budget, it's only right that you would have a chance to look at the audited financial statements at the end of the year and also approve those. Any questions, comments on the audited financial statements for 2025? Okay, seeing none.
Not yet, anyway.
Well, once you have the chance to review them,
Yeah.
you'll be able to ask questions on Wednesday.
Peter, can we just go back to the last one? The Tesla.
Tesla, sure.
According to the contribution agreement under utilities, the licensee agrees to arrange and pay for charges for all license-related utility service provision.
And this is just whether or not Daniel should continue discussing with them if we're not coming to
Yes,
anything.
so just in reply to your question, Councillor McDonald, is in the contribution agreement, they are the ones that are paying for the utilities.
So the
And-
capital cost and the power.
Yes, and the actual power,
Okay.
like running it.
Yep, yep.
And again, this isn't that we're entering into the contribution agreement yet. It is for us to continue having the conversation with them.
Okay. Moving on to bylaws, item number 9.1, the request for council decision this is the 2026-57 bylaw 2771, amend road naming. So we've had the previous discussion on this at the hearing and heard presentations for and against the Carmichael Drive, East and West, and also the bonfires changing that to Tarming Way. Further comments, questions from council on that bylaw and the renaming? Councilor Lemieux.
Okay, I just wanna go over again, like,
Yep.
what I was saying, and I think obviously it's apparent we wanna revisit this down the road a little bit, but I think for ease and for minimal cost, putting that sign differentiating west and east at the corner, like in the middle of the loop, no one has to do anything. You just east, west, put some proper signage there that everybody can see. No one has to change anything, and I think that would be the best way to address that situation.
Okay. Further questions, comments, Councilor Parrott?
I think based off of the public hearing, I would recommend defeating the motion. And from that, I would recommend the Carmichael matter be addressed with signage and to reintroduce the bylaw, looking at incorporating Stringer Road with Bompus for a name change.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Parrott. Councilor Raymond.
I think putting up new signs is a lot financially cheaper for us, everything. And also a lot cheaper for the people that's gonna have to change their physical addresses and on and on and on. And we're elected here and we listened to Carmen a couple times how they come in for a few things. They've all showed up and this very popular street and they all showed up again, and I would defeat the motion too. But instead of putting the onus on them, I think we should just make nicer signs.
Any further comments from council? Deputy Mayor McDonald or Councilor Merrill?
I mean, I agree with what was already stated. Of course, signage, it seems to be the popular point of view. My only concern is that we're gonna come to the same spot when we start changing the name of Stringer, that we're gonna have residents that won't be happy with the name change there. So we should maybe think about that one a little more.
Okay, thanks, Deputy Mayor McDonald. Any further questions, comments on the name changing 9.1?
So I think we can make East and West Carmichael visible enough to make that make sense. As long as our signage is very clear.
Another comment was made today that also just getting some numbers on some of those houses would be helpful, so. It's one thing to sign them numbers, it's another thing to actually have numbers, so, but from a public education perspective, and from a public safety perspective, encouraging residents to put the numbers that they would, street addresses they would be assigned actually on their houses would be good, so. Yeah. I think we can definitely work with that. All right, moving forward, 9.2, request for council decision. This is the bylaw 2772, the amendment to the cemetery bylaw. I'm just gonna have Cindy give a bit of an overview on this because this decision by council will have a significant impact on the number of plots that we will have in the expansion of the cemetery.
This bylaw, it's proposed to revisit this bylaw for a number of operational reasons as well. Primarily, the two key points is the reservation list that we have. And Director Tacoma is going to speak of this a little bit further. But the reservation list limits our ability to efficiently lay people to rest. And what has been happening is the last couple of years, we have run out. This is the reason why we've had to expand the cemetery, is that there's several plots that are reserved that we can't either lay somebody to rest in those plots. So we've had to expand that cemetery. The second is when the cemetery is growing, those reserved lots are then inaccessible and can be inaccessible because of the way that the cemetery has grown. So there's one recommendation to actually revisit the reservation process and whether or not council wishes to continue to hold reservations for family members where it could be decades before that plot is accessed.
Questions, comments from council on that, or let's get an update from or clarification from Daniel.
Yeah, so there are a couple changes that have been proposed in the bylaw. The main one, just like the SAO mentioned, is the one about the reservation. So one of the ways we're hoping to expand or to use the spaces we have in the cemetery is to use up the roads that we have there right now. But using up those roads poses the challenge where we have some spots that are already reserved. So if we start burying people using up the roads we have for the equipment, we can't effectively do that because then we're going to block access to those reserved plots. So right now we're expanding to phase 4, which is what you have on the right-hand side there on your screen. So those are two options for phase 4, for instance. So the one on the left has the road already, the road included for the excavator to go in and dig. And then that way, if we go in the future, if we then utilize the road, it will look like that. But on the right-hand side is where you have phase 4, the expansion of phase 4 without the roads. And as you can clearly see, it gives us a lot more room to actually accommodate more people, and therefore more time before we have to expand again, kind of thing. So that's one. A couple of other changes included the bylaw currently still refers to my position as the Director of Public Works. So she had amended that as well to reflect the Director of Infrastructure. Another change there was about how long the families have to give us. I think currently it says 48 hours notice, but we're requesting to change that to 72 hours. Of course, we'll still always accommodate anybody that comes, even if they come a day before, as long as we can get a hold of the contractors. But we want to actually put that in the bylaw to reflect 72 hours to give us more time to deal with stats, kind of like the registration and all that kind of stuff that we typically get to do. I think those are the changes. So the Director of Public Works, the 72 hours, the reservation, And then the monuments as well. So we're just trying to align the bylaw to our current day-to-day operations. So right now, the bylaw says we approve the monuments that gets put on the grave, but we actually don't. I don't think we want to be in a position where we tell a family member, this is not acceptable, this is not what we want you to put or something like that. Right now, we don't tell them what color to paint the cross, or what they should write on the stone or anything like that. But the current bylaw reads as though we give them some kind of approval as to what needs to be on there. So those are the 4 changes that has been made to that's what we're recommended to make to the bylaw if council is up for it.
We have one thing.
Questions, comments, Councilman Review?
How many reservations are in place now?
Unfortunately, that's also a number I don't have off the top of my head, but there was no record either. It was more like, oh, my auntie called and this, that. And so we created a map of the cemetery, and we've written them down and said, okay, this person has this reserve, that person has that reserve, and we just have that on that map, and then she probably has it on an Excel sheet now. So, but there was no process in place. So one thing we've done recently is to actually create a jot form. So if there's actually an application or somebody wants to, they can go through that process, and then we have a database for it. But before now, that wasn't really existing, except if it existed in somebody's head, I'm not sure.
Okay, so we don't know how many we have.
We do have a couple. It's already on the map, like I said, it's already written down in pencil on the map in the office.
20?
No, I'd say maybe 10.
Okay, so
probably around
it's
that.
significant.
Yeah.
So we want to honor that.
Yes, we wrote that
Right.
then. So we're gonna honor all the reservations that have already been made. And until those are filled, we won't potentially be able to use the roads in the existing part of the cemetery.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that
But
was.
on the new side, if we eradicate that completely, we can go with the approach we have on the right-hand side, and then give us more room, more people can get accommodated there.
Okay, so it probably stands to reason, it makes more sense to moving forward, maybe not accept reservations, is that kind of?
Yeah, we want to take it out of the bylaw, because the bylaw currently gives them the opportunity to reserve.
Okay.
Councilor Whalen?
In the beginning of the cemetery, and you go back to the other first road, you can't use anyways because there's a French drain through, which is full of rocks. And the next road over, there's a partial French drain, and the water is ridiculous on those 2 first roads when you drive into the cemetery. I know me and Rick put a French drain in 20 years ago. So you can dig up rocks, big rocks, and filter cloth. The second road, the same thing. I can't recall we did it. But that end of the cemetery is just like, we just did one last week, and it's filled right to the top of water. That's why the French drain is there, put in there, so we drain the water off to the bottom end. So there's some information, some old info for you. Do they pay for reserving? Is there anything in the bylaw about paying?
No.
One-time payment or something? I'm just curious about that.
The
It's
bylaw has,
unfortunate we can't do it efficiently. We gotta figure it's a touchy situation.
so it's here for discussion.
And it's a lifelong situation too. That's unfortunate. Please think hard about this, everyone. But there's some info on your graveyard. That's where there's a French drain in there, and it's a lot of water in that first front corner. Halfway, all the way over like those first 2 roads.
I think primarily because we use heavy equipment for digging here, especially in the winter. We don't have a choice. We have to have heavy equipment go in there to dig. If this was hand dug and then we don't need all that space of the road and all that kind of stuff, then yes. But primarily because of where we live, the winter months, nobody's gonna hand dig. We have had a couple requests for hand digging recently, and they successfully did it, but obviously that was during the winter months. And in tight spots, but yes. That's just, like I said, we are proposing the changes we want to make, and then council has the decision to make in terms of, do we think this makes sense, or do we go back and rethink this, or do we,
You know,
So go ahead, Kurt.
and on top of that, I've gotten a few phone calls from residents that have their parents and grandparents in there that our graveyard is fallen and needs repair, needs cleaned up, repair, graves are sinking, especially the ones that are done in the winter, shrink and sink. And is it our responsibility? Most likely. That's something that a lot of them have called about. And I mean, I've gotten 3 phone calls about very concerned people and how we should top up our crush and top up the winter ones. And our sign that's up there is no longer a sign. It's faded and it's totally, I don't know if it's useful at all. It's faded away and gone. Just needs some love and attention.
Yeah, so Daniel can give an update because he was actually out there himself this week, filling in some of the stuff that's cratered. Daniel?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're out there this afternoon, the whole of the afternoon really, after lunch, filling in the graves for the complaints we got this week. So I mean, there's a lot more to be done, but the complaints we got this week have been resolved. We went there for about 4 hours, filled them in, packed them, put the crosses back in and covered up their flowers nicely as we could. But yeah, and so the idea would be to do this, to localize this with the spot. So last year we attempted to do a massive repair and the post was put on Facebook and there was a whole lot of backlash of people not wanting us to disturb their loved ones' grave sites, right? So what we did this time was we identified the 3 grave sites we needed to touch, and attempted to contact their families and stuff like that, so that they are aware of what we're about to do. And then, just like the mayor said, even the staff members didn't want to do it, so I told them I'll take responsibility for it, and I went out there myself and did some of that work myself because they were hesitant because they didn't want the backlash from family members. But yes, we're going to attempt to localize the repair to those sections, attempt to contact the families, and if they're in agreement with us, we'll get the work done and try to fix it.
Is there any way we can utilize Inuvik Works to rake and clean and cut grass and, they're a good group?
Yeah, sure. Because that's the SAU actually brought that up as well today when I was talking to her after I came back from the cemetery, saying like, and one of them actually joined us out there today on his own. We didn't call them, but yes, that's a group we can certainly reach out to help us.
I mean, I can't see how improving something and putting everything back that you took off and put it all back normal is going to annoy anyone. Make them happier, actually. Yeah, I think that, contacting them and communicating them is a good thing. Thanks.
Councillor McDonald, did you have a comment?
I did. I don't get to see the maps that were shown, but just on the topic of the reservations, I think that it's important to keep that to keep those reservations available for a spouse. I think families think it's really important. We might have to put some rules in place or limitations, but I think we should still somehow keep that option available.
Yeah, and that's the discussion, the decision council is gonna have to make, because the 2 options, figure 1 allows us to continue with reservations and figure 2 doesn't.
Yeah, I don't see them. I just given my input on the.
So Peter, can I ask a question, please? When people are reserving a plot, thank you. When people are reserving a plot, are they paying for it? Is it like a cemetery down south? You've actually bought that burial spot?
Nobody pays for any plots in the cemetery, and the town also pays for all of the digging of graves unless someone decides they want to hand dig it. And the town also does all the maintenance.
The bylaw does contain a list of fees, but it calls it optional fees. So it's never been implemented. We don't take any money from any member of the public. The town has fully been responsible for most of that.
Any further questions from council? So The difference is if we allow, people to continue to reserve plots, we would get, 48, and if we don't allow, no, sorry, that's the number of hours. Somewhere the number is in here.
No, it's not in there. It was in the PowerPoint presentation we made to the committee, but it was not in there.
Okay. So what, do you know what approximately the number is?
I would have to look it up.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, Counselor Gillis.
I like, McDonald or Council McDonald's. I'm in favor of the plots. I intend to be buried here and my husband and my children, and I would like to be able to have a section, like my family has a section in the graveyard that's ours and it's now full. And we thankfully haven't needed it, but I was already in conversation. I think in a community where we should be able to, be buried next to our families. You know, I think that's super important for me anyway. So I'm not in favor. I would be more in favor of keeping the reservations. I know it adds, complications, but we have lots of land. And I want to be married with my family.
Well, you were talking about lots of land, just to that comment, our application to actually expand hasn't still been approved. We have the survey done for that entire area, and now it looks like somebody's pushing back at that, and they're telling us to reduce the size of what we've surveyed. The SAO has pushed back at that too. We haven't heard back from them since then. But yes, there's also that consideration. That land is crown land. We have to acquire it. We've gotten the surveyor to survey it. But they're saying what we surveyed is too big. That we should come back small, a little bit smaller. So yeah, we're still having that conversation.
We'll be pushing back on that fairly heavily, that the Department of Lands doesn't have any jurisdiction to be able to tell us how big we want to make our cemetery or how the control we want around that land, so somebody doesn't introduce anything that's not appropriate. So we'll be pushing back on that fairly strongly.
That's ridiculous because the amount we've buried in the last 2 years is phenomenal. I mean, if you go off the stats, we're gonna need that land quicker than later.
Yeah.
That is just crazy that someone would actually even say that.
Yeah.
And we have lots of land. And we don't need no green belts.
Yeah.
We live in the Delta. This is a green belt.
That's right. Yeah.
Councilor Lemieux and then Councilor Fair.
More for Kurt, like the land there, like, is there any issues with like substandard land? Like, do we need to kind of customize where we go? Like, you know, the land conditions, is there like water, like, is there areas that you can't
The
bury?
direction we're going with the new section, we're gonna peter out pretty soon. It's gonna go over a hill, so we don't want to create a landslide
Yeah,
that way. We can go a bit more to the north, I would believe, on the other side. Maybe 4 plots over is max, I would say, because there's also a hill there that goes into the lake. Yeah, it's
like, are we running out of space?
well, not in this 1,000-year century, but
Okay, well, just, well, I don't know what the water.
depending on,
is like,
I don't know,
right?
like how much you do survey, how many
The
lots,
whole thing, right?
I know, but how many people fit in that area?
Oh, we haven't even attempted to do that. We only
Okay,
put, we only just put, try to put the size on that phase 4. We haven't done the entire thing. Definitely, we're not gonna use that.
Right.
I mean, at least not anybody in this room anyways. Yeah.
Because that, like, that option that you got there, this figure 2,
Yeah.
that's like about 160 plots, right?
Yeah, if we go ahead with figure 2 in phase
Right.
4, that should hopefully last us 5 to 10 years.
So if we went with, like Melinda was saying, we want reserve spots, how, like, does it reduce it to figure 1?
Yes,
This is with reserve spots.
Yeah.
Because you need the access.
No, I get it.
This is without it. So
Yeah.
that's, but I think as Councilor Gillis said, we've got lots of land out there. We could keep the reserve system. And maybe this also allows better access for annual maintenance, filling
People
spots,
visiting.
all of those types of things. And we can probably make sure the design accommodate, is efficient enough to accommodate that.
Well, and that's why I was wondering about how much land we've got there to facilitate those requests, like.
We'll bring a map on Wednesday, which
Okay.
actually shows the layout, shows what we requested and also shows what they pushed back with.
Yeah, no, like, yeah.
We'll bring that to Wednesday. Any further comments? Oh, Councilor Parrott, sorry.
It's, when you're looking at the graph on the far right-hand side there, Jenna just took it down, but we all know that. We've been looking at it for 10 minutes. Is there, I agree about the importance of having burial reservations and what that looks like. I think that it's something that I feel a little bit uncomfortable with getting thrown by the wayside. I know in the past it's been dealt with a certain way. That doesn't mean that that's how it has to be dealt with in the future. It's very common. And setting up a structure. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can strategize figure 2, depending on the number of families that may want something to do with this. If you said maybe 10, it would be neat to see if we could assign you don't have to go left to right every single row. This could be done mathematically in a way that we could accommodate it, potentially.
The existing reservations are still going to be honored, and that's on the old side of the cemetery. That's not on this. So this is phase 4. So we have phase 1 to 3 currently in the cemetery. And in those phases, we already have those existing reservations, like we're saying. So maybe about 10 of them or something. But in this new one now, we're trying to approach it a little bit differently, maybe, if council decides we can go that route. Hence why we're doing this. So, but those reservations are not coming up on here.
So what you're saying is, if we go with the option of figure 2,
yes,
that's entirely first come, first serve. There's no other okay, yeah, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
I mean, this allows us to put more people in a smaller area, but it puts Melinda here, Doug over here, the kids over there. That, against first come, first serve, because once you get these filled, you can't leave this, fill these, and then you can't get at them. Unless you hand dig them all.
Is there a way that we can section off like a reserved area and then implement this type of a thing, first come, first serve, in a different area, but have a reserved area somewhere else where families can say, okay, like we want 10 spots here or something.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
With the fee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be partitioned also.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I guess we can.
Could be
I
partitioned.
mean, I'm getting fucking burnt. I don't care, but I mean, you know,
And lots of people are getting cremated.
yeah.
But even people who are getting cremated now are also asking for plots because they
Yeah.
want to be,
Yeah.
want crashed there. So.
Oh, I'm in the wind, man.
Hold on. That's why I have that question.
I thought you were thinking
The
about
other
saying-
suggestion is if we do the reserved plots and we cannot access them, then it is hand digging by the family that reserved it.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. too.
In the middle of the winter,
It can be done.
It can be.
They do that in all the other communities,
Yeah.
or most communities. And perhaps as Councilor Gula said, maybe we also look at, if people want to reserve the plots, there's a fee for that
Yeah.
because now we're making an additional accommodation, so,
100%. I think in the South, you pay for your thing anyway, don't you?
oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's how people reserve them, because they buy 2 or 3 plots with.
So prior to bringing this to council on Wednesday, because right now the bylaw is changed to reflect no reservations and all of that stuff. But I'm clearly hearing that council wants to pursue the reservations, so we can make edits to that. Do you want us to include reservations? Moving forward, we will certainly honor the existing reservations we have, but moving forward, there is a process for the reservations and there is an understanding that if the reserved plot is inaccessible by our equipment, that the grade be hand dug at the requester's
Yeah.
cost, and moving forward, if you want to reserve a plot, it's a fee.
I think that's.
It's
It's like a farm around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will revise that bylaw before we bring it back to you on Wednesday then. So you don't have to defeat it. We will.
But
make those
I'm okay with the other three changes. I mean, most of the other changes are pretty.
The 72 hours,
Yeah.
like the background
Yes.
stuff, yeah.
48 to 72.
I think
72
It's only
hours, the
2.5, that's the problem.
the monument permit, that we've never permitted a monument before.
Okay.
And what was the third?
Director of Public Works, the Director of Infrastructure.
All right, so we will just remove the, we'll make the changes to the reservation process.
Yes.
Okay. Yes,
With the monument one, is that because of like the Legion's monument? Is that what you mean? Like,
we don't know where it came from.
So
In there first.
in looking through other communities bylaw, ours was worded very similar to what they had in Yellowknife. And I think that's where that language came from. I wasn't here when they did it, but I'm thinking so. But if we look at what Fort Smith has, we're now trying to mirror it to what Fort Smith has. They have a definition for monuments, but they don't police the process of the monument. Which is what we're trying to eradicate and remove here.
We have to have something about monuments and that go in there that. You imagine if you want to put up a monument that,
Oh no, there's still conditions.
monument.
right?
There's still conditions.
So we still should leave that in there so we can remove stuff that is, profanity.
That's what went through my head.
All that.
It was like,
Could you imagine if I put one up and I was leaving this world and what I wanted to?
Just put it out there, maybe.
We still left conditions
Oh,
about,
you were in the wind.
we left conditions about size and about, profanity, I guess. Those are still in there. What we're just removing there is the whole, because the way it's worded now is they have to tell us exactly what they're putting, probably send us a photo, blah, blah, blah. We have to give them written approval to put that in, and we've never done it. Like, it has never, at least not since I've been here. So we're just trying to align what we have in the bylaw with what we currently do day to day. I mean, if somebody's,
Well, maybe that's an information item as you're handing out death star burial certificates that should be added in into literature.
to the burial system. Burial permit.
Because
Okay, so
I mean, none of us are really aware of it. I mean, how would anyone else be aware of it unless you're giving us a burial permit and all the bylaws and rules set out? No one really knows that, right? I mean, it's not really a bad thing. It's more information.
Okay, let's bring this back to council on Wednesday and then, as well as let's have some maps or we can project some maps just so that council has a good understanding of where we're at as far as land at the cemetery. Okay. End of that one.
Yep.
We don't have departmental updates at this meeting, so we're information items, couple of good news items, actually all three good news items that I have. I had a call from the dentist not my dentist, the dentist.
I was gonna say, how's those feelings work out?
No, just so you know, I did have a dental appointment, I'm all good, no, nothing needed. The dentist that's moving to town, Dr. Bakalov, this is public information now. He's got full support. He was working at the Adams Dental Clinic. He will be here, he expects, by the 1st of September, moving a bunch of stuff from the south to here. His equipment should be here sometime in September, and he's already hired a couple of staff. He's hoping to be able to train other staff that are local staff here in Inuvik, and will be hopefully open in October.
Right on.
Yeah,
Good news.
so he's been moving and everything's been approved, so he's moving forward now, so hopefully all of that happens, continues to happen and is positive. There were 2 federal ministers in town today. Minister Olszewski was here. She's the minister for disaster relief and emergency response. She was here. Minister Alty was here. Minister McKay from the GNWT was here, and they did an announcement at the at the airport today at around 2:30. And just saying that they've approved or getting another 49 million for the airport extension paving and a new access road at the airport that'll connect into the new airport terminal. So that's good news, and to see that continued federal support for the airport. And then the third thing is the Fiddle and Flow Music Festival is this coming weekend, so lots of musicians going to be playing, and should be a good weekend for the town and for everyone, for tourists in town. So a full agenda on that, lots of activity happening with that. Any further information items? Seeing none. We don't have any in-camera session, so motion to adjourn. Moved by
Any concerns?
What's that?
Council concerns.
Oh, sorry, missed one. Any council concerns?
Hey, Peter, it's Kendall again.
Yeah.
Just bringing up last year, we went through the same thing. We were talking about campers, camping in non-designated camping spots, basically. I think we've addressed the stuff around the rec center, but I continue to see a lot of campers camping at the Inuvik sign, which could probably be remedied by a few signs that just say no overnight camping, which we don't have. Any word on why we haven't done that?
Yeah, they staff did post it on a number of items or a number of locations. So we'll check and see whether we still have some signs, and we could get that out at the sign as you're coming into town. And then whether or not we have any other locations that are our property that we can post that. So we'll check on that and report back on Wednesday. Okay, Councillor Gillis.
Just to follow up with him, is there any way to find these people? I know that sounds awful, but I'm just saying, like, they don't want to give their $30 to Duck Park to stay in a campsite where they're supposed to be, where, you know, and then they want to, like, they're down at the river too. Like, I drive by them every single morning. There's 3 right where if the barge isn't there. Like that's money that's going in Duck Lake.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a semi park there 2 days ago for overnight.
I seen a guy doing laundry there and he had a clothesline off the telephone pole, his underwear and shit was hanging there.
Why, like, you know, campsites need this revenue. Like, I think it's important that they're in the campsites, and we have multiple campsites. So
I
just
agree.
curious if there's a bylaw to.
We need a bylaw
enforce.
in order to enforce it. So if that is something that over the next 6 months before next year's tourist season, we create an overnight camping bylaw.
Okay.
And then we can then enforce it.
Okay, so there is.
The only parking offenses that we could is, you know, in the no parking zones on a highway, or more than 72 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
if
think
that's the case, but yeah.
Sorry, I think this is only on our town land that we can do anything anyway. Like, I mean, on the enforcement side of things. And it's not a problem that's local to Inuvik. I see a lot of comments in the Yukon about this as well. But we did have this exact discussion 1 year ago. And I thought we had a plan. I just don't know if it's been implemented.
Councillor Raymond, then Councillor Perry.
The boat landing, do you think you can add another garbage can on it? Like there's quite a bit of garbage down
That'd be a
there.
good idea.
I mean, now that we put a nice new dock in and we cleaned all the mud and all the garbage up that was there, and you put one around the new dock somewhere in between, don't need a big one, just a medium sized one. Notice a lot of cans and a lot of garbage down there.
Yeah, no, we've got some in our reserve stock at King Road, so we can look at moving one of those down there and setting it up and.
Not that they would use it, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll use that. That one's full all the time.
build it and they will come, so we should be able to do that. Okay. Counselor Pear.
I definitely see this happening around town. Certainly, we saw it a lot when the ferries were closed. I think it's a balance, right? It's a balance of we are a welcoming, friendly destination. Tourism is it's a important and sustaining economy in our community. We want to make sure that we're maintaining a good reputation. We also need to ensure that we are respecting our own space, right? And to find that balance. I did see some of the overnight parking signs. I thought they were great. They're not intense.
Yeah.
They're easy to read, but they're not in your face. You know, I think that's a great recommendation, putting them around in other areas if they're not in the area that Councillor McDonald mentioned. I think information is also key. You know, I don't know if it means creating leaflets or having more information out there that says we've got beautiful campsites and they are extremely affordable. Some campsites across Canada are very expensive.
Yeah.
We're not talking $30 in a lot of areas of Canada. And maybe there is an opportunity for education here where we can say they're very affordable, they're very beautiful, and they're worth staying at. So I think there's the education piece. With all that said, I am overwhelmingly in favor of creating a bylaw, because then we have the opportunity for enforcement if we so choose. And I think right now, because we don't have that opportunity for enforcement, we're pigeoned in this area that I think is not helpful to anyone.
No, for sure.
Yeah, just getting back to Deputy Mayor McDonald's comment about that there was a plan. So I believe, and I'll check with ITI tomorrow, they were supposed to open one campground later than the other, and then that was going to allow them to stay open longer. Because the other thing we'll have to consider, what happened last year, they shut both campgrounds down on September 8th, and we had tourists right until the middle of October. And so those tourists then were camping everywhere because there were no campgrounds. So we will need to either identify areas that people can camp overnight, that, you know, that aren't the parks or aren't, you know, whatever, but there'll probably still be the need for having some type of campground, some type of area for people to camp when the campgrounds are closed. Councilor Wayman.
That's a good point. Because we're getting winter tourists too that come up here and they're camping all over the place with their vehicles running.
Yeah.
So maybe we should try to find something that does service winter, late fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some of them big machines come up here and they're up late October last year and there's snow on the ground, they're coming.
Yeah.
And I've seen some in the spring too, a lot in the spring. They're
I think
staying
it's
on the
called,
ice.
it's called a hotel at that time.
No, these guys are staying in actual, some of them have wood stoves, some of them have big campers running around the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think it's getting out of hand in a lot of places. I've been reading a lot of threads coming through the Yukon, and there's a lot of residents that are getting upset. There are actual websites for RV travelers that identify places where they think they can camp without paying a fee of a campground. And one of those, of course, used to be Shell Lake. Now it's the Inuvik sign. It's down by the river. So these websites are identifying places that we haven't dealt with, and that we probably should before it's worse.
Councilor Lemieux and then Councilor Perry.
Is there any signage on Airport Road coming in saying like camping only in designated areas? There's nothing there.
No.
Maybe that might be something to look at. And boondocking is one of those sites. If you like get on, boondocking is one, it's just loaded with information all over Canada, the United States. You plug in your destination and the little map tells you where to go, where you can go and stay for free. So like Kendall's right, there's a lot of these types of sites out there. I mean, you can't police all of them, but maybe some signage as you're coming in, like camping in designated areas. Just a thought.
Councilor Perry.
Well, I think speaking of all of these websites and that, I know that the social media traffic and the traction of Inuvik tourism and other Inuvik social media platforms has gone way up. I think a great way is also combating that by getting the information out there. If potential tourists are already utilizing these platforms as a way to get their interest to come up here, why not also use those platforms as an educational aid to feature campsites or feature to ensure that as an individual comes up here and they're making their plan, this is a component of their plan and not an afterthought.
No, definitely some good comments, and I think being
Sorry,
proactive.
just to clarify, Director Verrier, did you not post onto the Dexter Highway Facebook pages and all of that when we
I believe
introduced
so.
this?
It was. We also developed a little brochure, that, bylaw officers distribute if, people need to move. That indicates, different locations in town where to go, like campings and stuff like that.
Okay.
So there's communication there. Yeah.
So further to what Councillor Parrott was saying was maybe highlight, hey, when you're visiting Inuvik, Happy Valley's right here, you know, so highlighting or Gwitchin Park or, you know, those type of things. So enhancing what you're already doing in terms of that education. Okay.
Any further council concerns? All right, we don't have an in-camera session, so motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilor Lemieux. Thanks, Deputy Mayor Kendall and Councilor Merrill.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
We must